Hello and welcome to Adobe Photoshop and today's tutorial on how to create the matrix text effect. And I'm going to be using version CS2. I'm going to go right ahead and take a look at the effect we're trying to create here. And this one is one that I finished a little bit earlier today. And you can see that we've got a black background with the matrix style green falling code and my own text in front of that. And that's what we're going to try and recreate inside the next 10 minutes. So I'm going to start off here with opening a new document. I'm going to do that by hitting Control N on the keyboard, and I'm going to call it Matrix Effect, and I'm going to select a preset down here of 640 by 480, and you may just want to make sure that all your other settings are in line with mine, and once you're done, click OK. Now I'm going to view this at 75% so we can see what's going on, and I'm just going to readjust it on screen here so we can see exactly what's happening on screen, and that's just about right. Now the first thing we need to do is to set the background to black, and we'll do that by making sure our foreground colour is set to black, and if it's not, you can press the letter D on the keyboard to reset it, and then press Alt Delete on the keyboard to fill the layer with black. Next we need to select a colour to use, and if I go ahead and open up the swatches palette, you can see that I've already got a swatch that I saved earlier, which I'm going to click to load as my foreground colour. And if you wanted to use the same colour as I am, you'll need to use a value of 11 for red, 143 for green, and 23 for blue. Okay, so far so good. Now we need to create a backdrop of random code. Now the easiest way of doing this is to go to a text editor such as Notepad that ships with Windows, or Word that comes along with Microsoft Office, and open up an image file that the software doesn't support, and that will create a random mess of letters, numbers and symbols that's perfect for this tutorial. Okay, so I'm going to open up Windows Notepad, and I'm going to go to Format first of all and make sure that Word Wrap is ticked. Next I'm going to go to File, Open. I'm going to make sure that where it says Files of Type, I have all files selected. Now I'm going to open up this small JPEG image, and because Notepad can't read this particular file format, it's given me all these weird characters that I want for my effect. Now I'm going to highlight a whole heap of them, and it's better to have too many than not enough. And once I've done that, I'm going to hit Control C on the keyboard to copy, and then make my way back into Photoshop, and I'm going to grab the text tool, and I'm going to change the text size to 6 points, and I'm going to use a font called Lithos Pro, but any computer-like font will do for this part of the effect. And I'm going to position the cursor in the top right hand side of the image, and then come up here to the text orientation icon and click to change our horizontal text to vertical. Finally I'm going to hit Control V on the keyboard to paste all of the characters into the image. Now if I scroll out a little bit, I get to see all the text that I've created or copied into Photoshop, and I can now select my Move tool from the Tools palette over here and move it about until I get it something like this. Okay, now I'm going to double left click on the name of the layer and call it 6PTS so we know which layer this is, and then I'm going to drag the layer down to the new layer icon to duplicate the layer, and I'm going to do it again to give us 3 text layers in total. And now I'm going to change the name of the first new text layer to 9PTS, and then change the name of the remaining text layer to 12PTS. Now we're going to do what the names suggest, so I'd like you to turn off the 6 and 12 PTS layers and by clicking, I should say, these respective eyeballs here in the layers palette, and then selecting the layer called 9PTS, and then scrolling out a little until we can see all of the text that we have on the screen. You'll then need to select your text tool by pressing T on the keyboard, and then double left click the layer icon over here to select all the text in the layer, and then change the font size to 9PTS. Okay, as we did before, select your move tool and then move the text block until you're happy with the position, and I'm just going to leave mine around there. That's about right. So now we'll need to press the eyeball to make that layer invisible and turn on the visibility of the layer called 12PTS. Now we're going to do the same thing with this layer as we did to the last. So with the layer active, you'll need to grab your text tool, and this time we can hit Ctrl A to select all the text on the layer. Same result as clicking and dragging, but just another way of doing things here inside of Photoshop. Now this time we need to change the font size to 12 points, then select the move tool and move the text into position as we did before. Okay, that looks about right. Next we're going to turn on all the eyeballs so we can see all the layers. Not looking great at the moment, I'll admit, but we haven't finished yet, so bear with us. Now we need to select the 6PTS layer and go down to the layer mask icon at the bottom of the layers palette and click it to add a layer mask to our layer. Next we need to make sure the layer mask is selected, and then hit D on the keyboard to ensure we're using our default background and foreground colours, and then go up to Filter, Render and Clouds. Now we need to do exactly the same to the other two text layers, so select the layer called 9PTS and click the layer mask icon, make sure it's selected and hit Ctrl F on the keyboard to use the last applied filter, which is of course the Clouds filter. And finally add another layer mask to the layer entitled 12PTS and hit Ctrl F once again to add the Clouds filter. Now with 12PTS as our active layer, let's change the blending mode to color dodge, and we'll do exactly the same thing to the 9PTS layer, and there we have it.